All right, so rarely will I spend a lot of time talking about multiple choice questions as part of what we're doing because, in essence, most multiple choice questions are done the same as anything else. There's just choices for you to look at when you get done solving the problem. However, with these similar triangles, there is a very common situation where it's a kind of a true false question, which with other things is it's not difficult to go through and figure out what's true and false. With these, you're going to be presented with four proportions a lot of times. And there's not a great way to do any of them without like doing some thinking. So what I've done here over the last few years is I've started highlighting all this stuff, which if you did the first file on this, you've seen me do. And it actually makes these questions super easy to get right if you'll take your time and go through and do all the highlighting. All right. So what we're going to do is just basically the exact same thing. I'm going to line the triangles up. I'm going to highlight the corresponding sides in each triangle. Then I'm going to go through the proportions, and I'm going to look at the proportions and highlight all the sides with the proper color. And what that's going to do is it's going to make certain things stick out. Okay. If the colors don't match, the proportion is wrong. Okay. And then if the colors match, the triangle order has to match. And that's where you see me put a little 1 and a 2 next to the triangles and do that. This makes things set up easily. All right. And then this last thing here, this is something I've seen popping up lately in some questions. Angles should rarely, probably never be in proportions. So if you have angles in proportions, it's almost definitely the wrong answer in terms of not the wrong answer. It's the answer that's false. All right. So be on the lookout for that. I've changed this up a little bit from what I've had before, and I've stuck some angles in the proportions. Um, in the questions that I've gone through here, I've modified this a little bit. So be real wary of the angle question, the angle answers. All right. Unless it says the angles are congruent, it is likely that that's definitely false. And if it's looking for the false one, then that's what you're going to want to pick out. So I would suggest that you do several of these before you consider yourself kind of like understanding what's going on, because there's just all these different little things that get tossed in terms of where the mistake is. Quite often the questions, the colors are literally all going to match up, but there's one that's wrong. Okay. And that means that the colors alone are not always going to be enough. They'll make certain mistakes stand out. All right. But other mistakes can still get buried inside of there. So take your time with these.